I never meant to find that website. But when you're drowning in student loans and watching your bank account dwindle to double digits, desperation makes you click things you shouldn't. That's how I ended up installing Tor at 3 a.m., following a Reddit thread about making quick money on the dark web. The process wasn't complicated. That's what scared me later. Download Tor browser, install a VPN, follow some basic security protocols. The Reddit guide made it sound almost routine, like setting up a new social media account. I'd been coding since high school, so the technical aspects didn't faze me. Within an hour, I had everything configured, my laptop's camera covered with electrical tape, a paranoid habit I'd picked up from my cybersecurity courses. The .onion links looked like random keyboard smashes. I started with the trusted marketplaces listed in the Reddit thread, expecting to find illegal merchandise or cryptocurrency scams. Instead, I found myself staring at a minimalist black web page with white text. Consequence Market, where actions have value. The site's design was surprisingly professional. No sketchy pop-ups or glaring typos that usually screamed scam. Clean lines, smooth animations, almost corporate. A sidebar displayed current auctions with starting bids. My cursor hovered over the registration button when a chat window popped up. Welcome, user 173.45.xx.xx. Interested in becoming a player? I should have closed the laptop, should have deleted Tor, wiped my drives, and pretended I never saw it. But the number in my checking account flashed through my mind. $127.83. Not enough for next month's rent, let alone student loan payments. What's a player? I typed back. Someone willing to accept consequences for adequate compensation. Minimum payout, $5,000 per completed task. Interested? $5,000. That would cover 2 months' rent and keep the loan sharks at bay. My fingers trembled as I typed. What kind of consequences? Simple tasks at first. Nothing illegal or permanently damaging. Each player starts small and builds trust. Higher trust is equal to higher payouts. Ready to verify? A webcam icon blinked in the corner. Despite the tape covering my camera, a preview window opened. Somehow, they'd activated it remotely. My own face stared back at me, pale and uncertain in the laptop's glow. The chat message changed. Perfect lighting. You'll make an excellent player. Shall we begin? The cursor blinked, waiting for my response. Outside, a car door slammed and footsteps crunched on gravel. I glanced at my window, suddenly aware of how visible I must be, silhouetted against the screen's light. The footsteps grew closer, then stopped, right outside my apartment. A new message appeared. Don't keep us waiting, player number 2994. The auction for your first punishment starts in 3, 2 dots. I clicked accept before I could stop myself. The footsteps outside retreated, but the website transformed, displaying my profile. Player number 2994, complete with the webcam photo they'd just captured. A dashboard materialized, showing my punishment level, currently at 1, and potential earnings. The interface was sleek, almost gamified, with progress bars and achievement badges waiting to be unlocked. First task, remain awake for 24 hours. Current bid, $8,000. Verification required through webcam monitoring. Accept or decline? $8,000 for pulling an all-nighter? I'd done worse during finals week. My finger moved to accept, but then I noticed the fine print scrolling beneath. By accepting, player number 2994 acknowledges that task failure results in financial penalties and automatic enrollment in alternative punishments. The chat window reappeared. Confused. Let me show you how it works. A video player opened, showing another player, a young woman, maybe mid-20s. She sat at her desk, eyes bloodshot, checking her phone's clock, 23 hours and 15 minutes in. Her head nodded, eyes fluttering. The timestamp jumped ahead 10 minutes. She was slumped over, asleep. The video split screen. On the right, Her bank account draining, credit score plummeting, her social media accounts flooded with compromising photos she'd never taken, her company email sending resignation letters to her entire office. Her life unraveled in seconds. "Don't worry," the chat message read. "She chose the difficult way. You're smarter than that, aren't you? Player number 2994. My hands shook as I typed. How do I know this is real? Check your email. A new message waited in my inbox from my bank. A pending deposit of $500 marked as verification incentive. Below it, another email from my student loan provider. Payment schedule adjusted per your request. They doubled my monthly payments. The chat flashed again. That's just a sample. Accept the task and the $8,000 is yours. Decline dot. 3 dots pulsed ominously. Well, you've already seen what happens to players who waste our time. The clock read 3:47 a.m. 24 hours suddenly felt like an eternity. But as my cursor hovered between accept and decline, my bank's app pinged. The $500 had cleared. Real money. Real consequences. Time's running out. Player number 2994. The next bidder wants to double the punishment. Shall we see what 48 hours without sleep looks like? I hit accept. The screen immediately split into 4 webcam feeds, all angles of my room, even though I only had one camera. They'd somehow accessed my phone's cameras too, despite it being locked. A timer appeared, 23:59:59, counting down. The first few hours were easy. I caught up on work emails, organized my tax documents, even started learning Python through an online course. The $8,000 kept me motivated, but around hour 6, the messages started. Getting tired. Player number 2994. Let's keep you engaged. My phone buzzed with notifications. They'd subscribed me to every newsletter possible, each requiring 2-factor authentication to unsubscribe. My email flooded with spam, but hidden among them were verification checks, messages requiring immediate response to prove consciousness. Hour 12 brought the first hallucination, a shadow in my peripheral vision, gone when I turned. The chat window chimed. Don't worry, that's normal. Your bidders find it entertaining. Bidders. I checked the auction page. 23 people were watching my feed, betting on when I'd fail. Their comments scrolled past. Look at those eye twitches. She'll crack by hour 18. Add some audio stimulation. I'll raise to $10,000. Static burst through my speakers, rising and falling tones designed to prevent microsleep. My screen brightness adjusted automatically, blasting my eyes with blue light when they started to droop. Hour 18. My thoughts fragmented. The shadows had faces now. Every car passing outside felt significant. Every creak in the floorboards a warning. The bidders added another $2,000 for exceptional entertainment value. Final stretch, the chat window encouraged. Though we should mention, your next task starts immediately after completion. No rest for the wicked. I froze. That wasn't in the rules. Rules evolve. Player number 2994. But here's motivation. My bank account updated. $12,000 pending deposit. Below it, a new email from my loan provider. Default warning, payment overdue. They'd blocked my scheduled payment, knowing I couldn't access banking while focused on staying awake. The message was clear. Complete the task or lose everything. The timer read 4:32:17. My reflection in the screen showed someone I barely recognized. Bloodshot eyes, twitching face, desperate expression. In the window behind me, a figure stood watching. When I turned, it wasn't there. The chat pinged one last time. Remember, sleep isn't the only way to fail. Psychosis is quite entertaining too. The final hours of my sleepless punishment melted into a blur of verification checks and hallucinations. When the timer hit 0, I collapsed, but my phone's jarring ringtone jolted me awake. The The screen displayed an unknown number. "Congratulations on completing your first task," a modulated voice said. "Your payment has been processed. However, we noticed something concerning in your behavior around hour 22. My heart stopped. "What do you mean?" "You attempted to record the website's interface. Our systems detected screenshot attempts." The voice remained eerily calm. "That violates our terms of service. Standard penalty would be full payment reversal, but we're offering an alternative." The website refreshed, displaying 3 new tasks. Each one made my stomach turn. Skip all meals for 48 hours. Delete all social media accounts permanently. Call in sick to work every day for a week. Choose one as penance, the voice instructed. Each carries a $10,000 bonus upon completion. Before I could respond, my laptop displayed a live feed of my boss's office. He was reviewing emails, including one from me that would send in 10 minutes, detailing a fabricated family emergency. "We've chosen for you," the voice continued. "The work absence begins today. Don't worry about documentation. We're quite skilled at creating convincing medical records." My phone showed notifications from Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Suspicious login detected. They were inside everything. "One more thing," the voice added. "Future tasks will require video verification. Remove the tape from your cameras within 60 seconds or face immediate account termination." I reached for the electrical tape, fingers trembling. The website's corner displayed a new message. "Current auction. Player number 2994's next week of punishments. Starting bid, $25,000. Beneath it, a counter showed 37 active bidders, all competing to decide my fate. The highest bidder's username made my blood freeze. "HR director watching." Someone from my company was in the auction. Someone was watching. The voice returned, softer now. "Welcome to the real game, player number 2994. Sleep well, while you can." The medical leave stretched into its 3rd day, and the punishments grew more elaborate. My bidders, now numbering in the 50s, had developed a taste for psychological torment. Every morning brought new tasks, each designed to isolate me further from reality. I noticed the surveillance first, in small ways. My laptop's camera light would activate randomly throughout the day. My phone would switch between apps on its own, text messages typing themselves before my eyes. But it was the physical signs that truly broke me. Coming home from a forced grocery store visit, another punishment, buy exactly $247.83 worth of items you'll never use. I found my apartment door unlocked. Nothing was missing, but things were slightly off. A coffee mug moved 2 inches left. My bed made differently than I'd left it. My shower still warm. The website's chat pinged. "Your bidders appreciate attention to detail. Let's raise the stakes." My phone displayed a photo taken moments ago. Me, standing in my living room from an angle that could only come from inside my TV screen. Another from inside my microwave. Another from my digital alarm clock. They were watching from every device with a lens or sensor. Ready for tonight's special auction? The message appeared across all my screens simultaneously. "Your bidders have a unique request." The auction page loaded. Player number 2994's breaking point. How many cameras can we reveal before total psychological collapse? Starting bid, $30,000. Small red lights began blinking in corners I'd never noticed. Behind air vents, within light fixtures, nested in power outlets. Each time I spotted one, another would activate elsewhere. My apartment transformed into a constellation of watching eyes. My phone rang. My mother's number. But when I answered, the modulated voice returned. "Should we tell her what you've been doing? Current bid for a family confession. $45,000. I'd been awake for 72 hours straight, jumping at every shadow, flinching at every electronic chirp. The walls felt alive with hidden watchers. And in my bathroom mirror, a tiny red light blinked from within the glass itself. The chat window's final message chilled me to the bone. Don't worry about finding them all. The real show begins when you sleep. The website upgraded me to premium player status after a week of constant surveillance. The promotion came with higher stakes and impossibly higher payouts, but attempting to withdraw any earnings triggered a new punishment auction. Money isn't really what you're playing for anymore, the chat window explained as my cryptocurrency wallet emptied itself. You're playing for survival. My bank accounts were now completely under their control. Each declined transaction, every bounced payment was deliberate, designed to destroy my credit score piece by piece. The site's analytics showed my entertainment value increasing with each financial setback. I tried creating new accounts at different banks. Within hours, they were compromised. I attempted to contact the FBI's cybercrime division, but my emails would delete themselves before sending. My phone wouldn't dial certain numbers, and any message containing words like help or police vanished instantly. The breaking point came when I discovered the live stream. My apartment's surveillance feed was being broadcast to a private channel, with thousands of viewers betting on my daily routines. They called it the Consequence Market Reality Show. Delete your account, you might say. I tried. The termination fee appeared on screen. $157,000 plus physical collateral. Below it, a video played. My sister entering her workplace, filmed by someone following too closely. A warning message flashed. Players don't leave. They only upgrade. My screen filled with a new auction listing. Premium Evolution Package. 72 hours of progressive psychological decomposition. Starting bid, $250,000. The bidders went wild, numbers climbing by thousands each second. The chat window's message was simple. Time to see how far human sanity can stretch. Your highest bidder has some fascinating ideas about sleep deprivation combined with auditory manipulation. My phone lit up with a calendar notification. Career-ending event, scheduled for Monday. They had planned my complete destruction, timed to the minute. And somewhere in the darkness of my apartment, a new red light blinked to life. The Premium Evolution package began with a single instruction. Tell your best friend why you never want to see them again. The site had already drafted the message, filling it with personal details I'd never shared online. They knew everything. Childhood secrets, unspoken resentments, devastating lies crafted from grains of truth. Send it or we release the video, the chat demanded. They didn't specify which video. They didn't need to. Sarah, my best friend since college, responded immediately. What's wrong with you? Are you okay? Block her number, came the next command. $50,000 awarded for emotional damage inflicted. Each relationship severed increased my market value. The bidders called it consensual isolation, watching someone willingly destroy their support system. My parents went next, then my sister, then my entire social circle. Each goodbye crafted by invisible puppeteers who knew exactly which words would hurt most. The site's analytics tracked my psychological deterioration with clinical precision. Sleeping patterns, social interactions, heart rate variations, everything quantified for the bidders' entertainment. They could tell I was breaking down, and they loved it. My apartment became my prison. Food deliveries arrived unsummoned, bidders choosing my meals, analyzing my declining appetite. Random items appeared while I slept. A childhood photo with faces scratched out, a diary entry I'd written at 13, my college rejection letters I'd burned years ago. The chat window maintained constant contact. Your isolation metrics are impressive. Ready for phase 2. A new auction appeared. Memory manipulation package, rewriting player number 2994's reality. The description made my blood run cold. Watch live as we convince her that nothing before the game was real. My phone's gallery began filling with photos I didn't take, showing events I didn't remember. But there I was in each one, smiling with strangers who seemed to know me intimately. The The date stamps went back years. Question your reality yet? The chat asked. Tomorrow's package includes full identity replacement. The bidders are especially excited about this one. I stared at my reflection in the black screen, no longer sure if the face looking back was truly mine. Searching for answers, I discovered a hidden forum for current and former players. The posts read like horror stories, each player describing their own descent into the game's madness. But patterns emerged, dark connections I couldn't ignore. Player number 1, 847. They start with your money, then your relationships, but they're really after your identity. The more you lose yourself, the higher your value climbs. Player number 2, 1391. Has anyone else noticed their memories changing? Photos appearing that can't be real? Player number 1, 1056. Last seen 47 days ago. I dug deeper, cross-referencing player numbers with missing persons reports. The correlations were impossible to ignore. Players who reached elite status tended to disappear shortly after. Their social media would remain active, posting convincing updates, but something felt off about each one. The site's code revealed fragments of its true purpose. Hidden in the encryption was a pattern. Each punishment, each isolation task, followed a precise psychological formula. We weren't just entertainment. We were test subjects in a massive behavioral experiment. My screen flashed with a new notification. Unauthorized research detected. Access to player forums revoked. The chat window opened. Curious about your fellow players? Let's arrange a meeting. My webcam activated, showing a split screen of 6 other players, all live feeds. I recognized them from the forum. Each sat in identical rooms, staring at identical screens. Their expressions matched mine. Desperate, searching, lost. Welcome to the Player Summit, the chat announced. Today's auction, group synchronization experiment. Watch as players turn against each other for survival. A timer appeared. 60 minutes to choose one player for retirement. If we didn't vote, all would face consequences. The feeds showed their faces, each as terrified as mine. But in every background, I noticed something chilling. The same coffee mug, positioned exactly 2 inches left of center, just like in my apartment days ago. Were they all in the same place? Were any of these feeds real? Let the voting begin, the chat commanded. And remember, there's no such thing as player solidarity. The voting timer ticked down as we stared at each other through our screens. None of us spoke. We didn't need to. The chat windows filled with private messages from the site. Vote for player number 2847 and receive immunity. Choose number 1936 for a complete debt erasure. Each of us receiving different bribes, different threats. I noticed something in player number 1936's feed. A reflection in her glasses showing not a room, but a green screen. The others' backgrounds began to glitch subtly, digital artifacts appearing at the edges. Nothing was real. Diving into the site's code while the auction continued, I found a hidden repository. Years of data, millions of interactions, all feeding into something larger. The consequence market wasn't just a torture platform. It was an AI training ground. Each punishment, each forced betrayal, teaching algorithms how to manipulate human behavior. The chat window pulsed red. Unauthorized access detected. Initiating contingency protocol. My screen filled with code. The site's entire back end, every dark secret exposed. Player histories revealed worse horrors. Successful personality overwrite. Complete digital replacement. Physical asset acquisition. They weren't just destroying lives, they were harvesting them. Each broken player became training data for an AI that learned to replicate human behavior perfectly. The disappeared players hadn't vanished. They'd been replaced. Congratulations on reaching the final level, the chat announced. You've qualified for digital transcendence. My phone, computer, and every screen in my apartment displayed the same message: identity theft in progress. Please remain calm while we archive your consciousness. Files began downloading automatically. My entire digital life compressed into data packets. But in that moment of system strain, I found my chance. A vulnerability in their code. A single point of weakness. The voting timer hit 0 as my fingers flew across the keyboard, racing against their system. I wasn't trying to escape anymore. I was trying to burn it all down. The chat's final message flashed. Interesting choice, player number 2994. But did you really think we wouldn't have a backup? Everything went dark. Not just my screens, but every electronic device in my apartment simultaneously died. Through my window, I watched the entire block's power grid failing, building by building, a cascading darkness spreading through the city. In the perfect silence that followed, my phone lit up one final time, not with the site's interface, but with line after line of released data, every player's information, every bidder's identity, every dark secret of the consequence market flooding onto the open internet. I'd triggered their doomsday protocol, but not before redirecting it. The modulated voice returned, now through my apartment's intercom. You've just released 3 years of classified behavioral research to every major news outlet and intelligence agency. Do you understand what you've done? Names started appearing on my screen. CEOs, politicians, tech billionaires, all listed as active bidders. The true architects of the consequence market exposed. Your termination auction begins now, the voice announced. But this time, the whole world is watching. My phone displayed one final auction. Player number 2994's exit strategy. Bid to determine suicide, accident, or disappearance. Current participants, 2.7 million. The world would know the truth, but I had minutes at most before they reached me. The chat window flickered one last time. Remember when we said players don't leave? We meant it. Outside, sirens approached. Inside, every device with a lens or screen began to glow, coming back online simultaneously. But this time, they weren't watching me. They were watching you. Don't believe me? Check your webcam light. Is it blinking? Are you sure you turned it on? Welcome to the game, player.